April 21st, 2 Kings 1, 2, and 3. 2 Kings 1. And Moab revolted against Israel after the death of Ahab. I'm going with Ahab. And Ahaziah fell through the lattice of his upper room in Shamaron and was injured, and sent messengers and said to them, Go and inquire of Beelzebub, Hasatan, the adversary, the devil, Beelzebub, the mighty one of Ekron, if I shall recover from this injury. But a messenger of Yah spoke to Eliah the Tishbite, Rise up, go to meet the messengers of the sovereign of Shamaron, and say to them, Is it because there is no Elohim in Israel that you are going to inquire of Beelzebub, the mighty one of Ekron? So therefore, thus said Yah, you are not going to get out of the bed to which you have gone up, for you shall certainly die. And Eliah went. And the messengers returned to him, and he said to them, Why have you come back? And they said to him, A man came up to meet us, and he said to us, Go, return to the sovereign who sent you, and say to him, Thus says Yah, is it because there is no Elohim in Israel that you are sitting to inquire of Beelzebub, the mighty one of Ekron? Therefore you are not going to get out of the bed to which you have gone up, for you shall certainly die. And he said to them, What was the man like who came up to meet you and spoke to you these words? And they answered him, He was a hairy man, and wore a leather girdle around his waist. And he said, It is Eliah the Tishbite. He then sent to him a captain of 50 with his 50 men. And he went up to him, and see, he was sitting on the top of a hill. And he spoke to him, Man of Elohim, the sovereign has said, Come down. And Eliyahu answered and said to the captain of 50, And if I am a man of Elohim, let fire come down from the heavens and consume you and your 50 men. And fire came down from the heavens and consumed him and his 50. He then sent another captain of 50 with his 50 men. And he answered and said to him, Man of Elohim, this is what the sovereign said, Come down at once. And Eliah answered and said to them, If I am a man of Elohim, let fire come down from the heavens and consume you and your 50 men. And a fire of Elohim came down from the heavens and consumed him and his 50. And again he sent a third captain of 50 with his 50 men. And the third captain of 50 went up and came and fell on his knees before Eliyahu and pleaded with him and said to him, Man of Elohim, please let my life and the life of these 50 servants of yours be precious in your eyes. See, fire has come down from the heavens and burned up the first two captains of 50s with their 50s. But let my life be precious in your eyes. And the messenger of Yah said to Eliyahu, Go down with him. Do not be afraid of him. So he rose up and went down with him to the sovereign, and spoke to him. Thus said Yah, Because you have sent messengers to inquire of Beelzebub, the mighty one of Ekron, is it because there is no Elohim in Israel to inquire of his word? Therefore you are not going to get out of the bed to which you have gone up, for you shall certainly die. And he died according to the word of Yah which Eliyahu had spoken. And Jehoram reigned in his place. In the 2nd year of Jehoram, son of Jehoshaphat, sovereign of Judah, for he had no son. And the rest of the acts of Ahaziah, which he did, are they not written in the book of the annals of the sovereigns of Israel? 2 Kings 2. And it came to be, when Yah was to take up Eliyahu to the heavens by a whirlwind, that Eliyahu went with Elisha from Gilgal. And Eliyahu said to Elisha, Eliyahu is Elijah, said to Elisha, Please remain here, for Yah has sent me on to Bethel. And Elisha said, As Yah lives, as your being lives, I do not leave you. And they went down to Bethel. And the sons of the prophets who were at Bethel came out to Elisha and said to him, Do you know that Yah is taking away your master from your head? And he said, I also know, be silent. And Eliyahu said to him, Elisha, please remain here, for Yah has sent me on to Jericho. And he said, As Yah lives, and as your being lives, I do not leave you. And they came into Jericho. And the sons of the prophets who were at Jericho came to Elisha and said to him, Do you know that Yah is taking away your master from over you today? And he said, I also know, be silent. And Eliyahu said to him, Please remain here, for Yah has sent me on to the Yarden. And he said, As Yah lives, and as your being lives, I do not leave you. And the two of them went on. And 50 men of the sons of the prophets went and stood facing them at a distance, while the two of them stood by the Jordan. And Eliyahu took his mantle and rolled it up, and struck the water, and it was divided this way and that, so that the two of them passed over on dry ground. And it came to be, when they had passed over, that Eliyahu said to Elisha, Ask what I am to do for you, before I am taken away from you. And Elisha said, Please let a double portion of your spirit be upon me. And he said, You have made it hard to ask. Yet, if you see me when I am taken from you, it is yours. But if not, it is not. And it came to be, as they continued on and spoke, that see, a chariot of fire with horses of fire, which separated the two of them. And Eliyahu went up by a whirlwind into the heavens. And Elisha saw it, and he cried out, my father, the chariot of Israel and its horsemen. And he saw him no more. Then he took hold of his garments and tore them into two pieces. And he took up the mantle of Eliyahu that had fallen from him, and went back and stood by the bank of the Jordan. And he took the mantle of Eliyahu that had fallen from him, and struck the water, and said, Where is Yah Elohim of Eliyahu? And he struck the water, and it was divided this way and that. And Elijah, I think, passed over. Eliyahu is Elijah. Elisha passed over. And when the sons of the prophets who were from Jericho saw him, they said, The spirit of Eliyahu rests on Elisha. And they came to meet him, and bowed to the ground before him. And they said to him, Look, there are 50 strong men with your servants. Please let them go and search for your master, lest the spirit of Yah has taken him up, and cast him upon some mountain, or into some valley. And he said, Send no one. But they pressed upon him till he was ashamed, and he said, Send. So they sent 50 men, and they searched for 3 days, but did not find him. And they returned to him, for he remained in Jericho. And he said to them, Did I not say to you, Do not go? And the men of the city said to Elisha, Look, the sight of this city is good, as my master sees. But the waters are spoiled, and the soil barren. And he said, Bring me a new bowl, and put salt in it. And they brought it to him. And he went out to the source of the water, and threw the salt in there, and said, Thus said Yah, I have healed this water. No longer shall death or barrenness come from it. And the waters were healed to this day, according to the word of Elisha, which he spoke. And he went up from there to Bethel. And as he was going up the way, some youths came from the city and mocked him, and said to him, Go up, bald head, go up, bald head. And he turned around and looked at them, and pronounced a curse on them in the name of Yah. And 2 female bears came out of the forest, and tore to pieces 42 of the youths. And from there he went to Mount Carmel, and from there he returned to Shamaron. 2 Kings 3. And Jehoram, son of Ahab, began to reign over Israel at Shamaron in the 18th year of Jehoshaphat, sovereign of Judah, and reigned 12 years. And he did evil in the eyes of Yah, but not like his father and mother, for he removed the statue of Baal which his father had made. But he clung to the sins of Jeroboam, son of Nevat, who had made Israel sin. He did not turn away from them. And Mesha, sovereign of Moab, was a sheep breeder, and he paid the sovereign of Israel 100,000 lambs and the wool of 100,000 rams. And it came to be, when Ahab died, that the sovereign of Moab revolted against the sovereign of Israel. And the sovereign Jehoram went out of Shamaron at that time and mustered all Israel. And he went and sent to Jehoshaphat, sovereign of Judah, saying, The sovereign of Moab has revolted against me. Do you go with me to fight against Moab? And he said, I go up. I am as you are, my people as your people, my horses as your horses. And he said, Which way do we go up? And he said, By way of the wilderness of Edom. And the sovereign of Israel went, and the sovereign of Judah, and the sovereign of Edom, and went round a journey of 7 days. And there was no water for the army, nor for the cattle that followed them. And the sovereign of Israel said, What? Has Yah called these 3 sovereigns to give them into the hand of Moab? And Jehoshaphat said, Is there no prophet of Yah here? Then let us inquire of Yah through him. One of the servants of the sovereign of Israel then answered and said, Elisha, son of Shaphat, is here, who poured water out on the hands of Eliyahu. And Jehoshaphat said, The word of Yah is with him. And the sovereign of Israel and Jehoshaphat, the sovereign of Edom, went down to him. And Elisha said to the sovereign of Israel, What have I to do with you? Go to the prophets of your father and the prophets of your mother. And the sovereign of Israel said to him, No, for Yah has called these 3 sovereigns to give them into the hand of Moab. And Elisha said, As Yah host lives, before whom I stand, if it were not that I regard the presence of Jehoshaphat, sovereign of Judah, I would not look at you nor see you. Now, bring me a harpist. And it came to be, when the harpist played, that the hand of Yah came upon him. And he said, Thus said Yah, make this wadi ditches. For thus said Yah, you are not going to see wind nor rain, yet that wadi is going to be filled with water, so that you, your cattle, and your beasts shall drink. And this shall be but a light matter in the eyes of Yah, and he shall give Moab into your hand. And you shall strike every walled city and every choice city, and cut down every good tree, and stop up every fountain of water, and ruin every good piece of land with stones. And it came to be in the morning, when the grain offering was offered, that see, water came by way of Edom, and the land was filled with water. And when all Moab heard that the sovereigns had come up to fight against them, all who were able to bear arms and older were gathered, and they stood at the border. And they rose up early in the morning, and the sun was shining on the water, and the Moabites saw the water on the other side as red as blood. And they said, This is blood. The sovereigns have indeed struck swords, and have killed one another. And now, Moab, to the spoil. And they came to the camp of Israel. And Israel rose up and struck the Moabites, so that they fled before them. And striking, they struck the Moabites. And they broke down the cities, and each man threw a stone on every good piece of land, and filled it. And they stopped up all the fountains of water, and cut down all the good trees, until only the stones of Kir Hareseth was left. And the slingers went round and struck it. And when the sovereign of Moab saw that the battle was too strong for him, He took with him 700 men who drew swords to break through to the sovereign of Edom, but they could not. Then took his eldest son, who would have reigned in his place, and offered him as an ascending offering on the wall. And there was great wrath against Israel, and they left him and returned to the land.